Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Longhorn Radio.
We are your hosts,
Elizabeth Grist
and Shreya Sonone, and welcome to episode 2, Senior Advice.
Before we dive in and introduce our amazing guests, who we are super happy to have on as our very first, here are just a few short announcements.
Last week was Thanksgiving break, so I hope everyone had a relaxing week off. For those of you who celebrated Diwali at home like I did, wishing you all a very happy but late Diwali.
Also, finals week will be starting on December 14th, so keep your spirits high, Longhorns. Now, introducing our very first guests. Here to give us some fantastic advice, your favorite seniors, Claire Watson and Julie Schieffer.
Hey guys.
Hi, welcome on to Longhorn Radio. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I'm so excited.
So how are you guys doing?
I'm good. My Thanksgiving break was very relaxing and finishing up a bunch of my homework, and it was just got to relax the whole time.
That sounds fun. You know, I binged watched like a full TV show in one day. I did that yesterday and it was absolutely amazing. Like my brain right now is just off the walls. You have no idea.
That's impressive.
Julie, how was your break?
My break was pretty epic. I was vibing the whole time. You know, I had some nice Thanksgiving over Zoom with my family, and I just enjoyed the fall weather because I love fall. And I worked on my college apps, which was much needed.
Ooh, very nice. Thank you so much for offering to give senior advice to us and all of our listeners.
So we had some of our fellow students send in questions about what they're confused about or what they would like to have answered by you guys. Thank you to all who did, by the way. So let's get right into it. Okay, so first question. How do you manage time and not get stressed out? We understand that you guys might be busy, so do you have any advice on that, and how do you deal with all that stress?
Yeah, I think there's really no way to there's really no way to not be stressed in high school. It's kind of like comes with the territory. But one way that I de-stress is playing Sudoku and like trying to like get my mind off of things and like playing little mind games and like that kind of stuff.
Very
and just trying to focus on like the good things that are happening instead of like the stressful tests you have.
Nice. What about you, Julie?
So I actually struggled with this a lot. Not much of my freshman year, but mostly sophomore and junior year, just because the workload got a lot more crazier. But over time, I realized that taking time to yourself, like Claire said, is super, super important, especially when you have a lot on your mind with tests. It's nice to just try and clear your mind. So I'll meditate for maybe just like 5 minutes, or I'll do my homework outside because I feel like it's more calming. Obviously, if it's raining, you don't want to do your homework outside, but I definitely like nature a lot, so I'll go sit out in nature and it calms me down.
That's super cool. You know, as a sophomore myself, like I can't imagine how much you guys had to go through, but as a sophomore, like I do get a lot of anxiety and I'm super nervous about like all the work that we have. I bet Elizabeth feels the same. And
Yeah.
I think it's a little hard to try to find time for myself, but like I'll definitely try to, you know, make more time for that, like regardless of how much work I need to do, because, you know, mindfulness is the key here.
Yeah, I definitely feel like taking time for yourself is just so important to maintaining your mental health, and I feel like you guys had some good thoughts on that. Okay, our second question is, what is the easiest AP in your opinion that you've taken?
Let's see. I would say the easiest. Well, I feel like it's all relative. Like I'm in AP Bio right now, and that's like super hard, but I also love it. And I think AP Lang, my sophomore year, was like kind of a different kind of vibe. Like it was more like focusing on like rewriting and writing and that kind of stuff. So I'd say that was the easiest one for me personally. But it was still super hard sometimes. But I feel like it comes in like waves as you go.
Right.
So
Yeah. And Julie, what about you?
I also took AP Lang. Claire and I, we took it at the same time. We just had different teachers. I really liked the class, but it was super hard for me, so I had to drop out my second semester, which was really sad because I loved that class so much. That was definitely my favorite AP class, but right now I'm taking AP Environmental Science, and I know a lot of people take it just because, like, they hear, oh, it's the easiest AP, like, it's literally nothing. You can totally take it, and it's like an on-level course. It's not. It goes by super, super fast. Like, we have a test about every 2 weeks
Oh,
or
wow.
every week, something like that. But it's a lot of work, but I really enjoy the subject a lot because I want to become more of an environmentalist. So if you enjoy the subject, it might come a little bit easier because you feel more motivated to do your work if you like doing the work.
Right. And follow-up question. I know a lot of kids like try to get in as many APs as they can so that they look good on, college applications and whatnot. But how do you know what APs are right for you? Like, how do you figure that out, and how do you like choose like what's the right thing to do?
Yeah, I think definitely follow what you're interested in and like kind of do what you want to do and not follow the pack. Like if you really want to take AP Gov, but all your friends are taking on-level Econ and Gov, go for it and like do whatever you want to do. Because in the end, when you're writing your college essays, like yes, the APs like look good, but also like having passions for what you want to do in the future, it looks a lot better.
I see. All right. And okay, moving on. So, how did you guys prepare for the SATs?
I did not take the SAT because I have a schedule for March and then the coronavirus hit, so then they canceled it, and most of the schools I'm applying to aren't accepting it or they're test blind this year and are going to be for the foreseeable future. So I didn't take it, but I still prepared. I went to like a course over the weekend before, and it was like a pretty intense course, but I felt ready for the test even though it was canceled. So I'd recommend going to one of those like hands-on learning things with like a tutor or something.
Mm-hmm. Julie, how about you?
I did something similar. So before we knew that Corona was happening, I took an AJ tutoring course. It was like every Saturday and Sunday for I think like 2 or 3 months straight. And personally, I am so bad at math. Like I've always been pretty bad at math. So the math section on the SAT was really hard for me and I got super discouraged a lot. But I know for the AJ tutoring thing on Saturdays, we would just go over like tactics for the test, and then on Sundays we would take the practice SAT. And I remember the first time I took my practice SAT, I like started crying like halfway through just because it was so frustrating and overwhelming to have all these questions and I couldn't even answer like half of them. But as I went through the course and like I did more practice tests and I learned different tactics for the SAT, it got a lot better and I felt better, but I also realized that the SAT, it doesn't reflect how smart you are at all. It does, but not in the way that you'd think. It's more about tactics, which is what I learned from my course. And I just think something to take away from this is the SAT, your SAT score doesn't reflect who you are. And I don't think you should focus on that. That's why I'm really happy that a lot of schools are going test optional because I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's some good advice because I feel like a lot of people who haven't taken the SAT or are planning to, it's just it's really the unexpected and you definitely really don't know what's coming. So I feel like that's some helpful stuff. Question 4, what is the college application process like?
So for me, I'm applying to Cal States and UCs. So for me, it was more of like the UCs are a bunch of small essays. So I kind of started those like they released the questions kind of early, so I started those a lot earlier than I think I should have because I had a lot of time. But it also like stressed me out for longer. And then the state application is kind of just putting in your grades and then like sending them in. So that one was super simple. But the UC one was kind of like more writing and more like in-depth thinking for like describing your activities. But it really wasn't that bad. I started writing my essays in September, I think, and I'm still kind of like tweaking and editing, and so yeah. But I think it wasn't as bad as I expected it to be, like my junior year. So,
Julie, what application processes are you going through?
So I was super lucky. My parents signed me up for this course called Got College, where I met with a college counselor in a small group for a few times over a couple of months, and we started the process my junior year actually. And honestly, a lot of people stress about the whole college thing, but it was really fun for me. Like looking at colleges and figuring out where I wanted to go was super fun. I think it's a good thing to know who you are and like know what people you like to be surrounded by, know what atmosphere you want, the community, because that's really important to me and that helped me a lot with my college process. But right now I'm just, going through the application process online on the I'm also applying to CSUs and one UC. I'm applying to UC Santa Barbara, so let's hope I get in.
Oh, I really want to go to UC Santa Barbara. That's super cool. All right. And a follow-up question, how did you write like college essays and stuff? And like, how did you know what requirements needed to be made? And like, if you were, I don't know, because I have like this whole like stigma and like, I guess it's not very a good like mental thought, but like, I think like, what if my grades aren't good enough to get into the college I want and stuff like that? And how do you overcome those thoughts?
Definitely a good question.
Yes, I love this question. So, what I did just for the college essay section, what we did first was we took 8 minutes and we just wrote down whatever comes to mind. Like, we just kept writing, we couldn't stop writing. And that was called loop number 1. And once we got out all of those thoughts, then we did another loop for 8 minutes where we just kept writing and writing. I think free writing is super helpful when you're trying to think of a kind of like a story or a topic. You want to choose a story that just college admissions counselors or whatever they call them, they really just want to get to know you through your college essay. You don't have to like act all prestigious. They don't really want to see that. They just want to get to know you. So I think that's my biggest tip is be real. Talk about a story that's real and that connects to you. Like for my college essay, I'm writing about the first song I learned on guitar and how I played it for my sister before she was getting brain surgery. So
Oh, that's
it's
super
pretty
sweet.
yeah,
Nice.
so something personal like that.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
That's like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people think about how, oh, I have to have this. I have to be like this. I have to have these certain requirements. It's almost like there's like a template that people think they have to fill.
Oh my God, yeah, all the time. That's what I keep thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's super easy to get stuck in those kind of things. I think like watching all those YouTube videos where all those people are getting into all their like top schools. It's like really hard to see that. Like as a junior, I know I used to watch a ton of those, but I think like a lot of teachers like this year have been like letting us or like making a kind of an assignment to do like 2 of your UCs or like input one of your Common App essays and like she'll review it for you. So I think taking advantage of like having those resources at school and like asking your counselors about the due dates and that kind of stuff, like definitely utilizing everything that the school kind of gives us to use, I think it's really important and it kind of keeps your stress levels down more when you can like have someone to talk to about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely like that advice.
Wow, that's great. All right, moving on. So, what, if anything, is worth stressing over in the long run? Deep question. Let that marinate a bit.
Oh, I have a good one. I think you should really focus on forming relationships with your peers at school. A lot of people don't think about that. Like when you hear advice from seniors, it's mostly about like, oh, how to get into a good college or how to get good grades. Do grades matter? But something that really stood out to me is a few years from now, we're not really gonna remember like, oh, I got such a bad grade on this test or oh yeah, junior year was so hard, but you're gonna remember the friends that you had and like all the different things you did. Like for example, Claire and I mean all of us on this call are in leadership and I'm sure we've had so many great memories at like rallies and homecoming. Especially this year, I think we're more reminiscent of those
Mm-hmm.
memories and that just shows like how nostalgic you're gonna be in a few years.
Yeah, definitely. Like when I get stressed out on a test or I'm just concerned about a bad grade that I got, I kind of just have to think like in 5, 10 years, will this really matter? And I just have to leave it, you know? There's nothing I could have really done.
Yeah, exactly. I think just like trying your hardest and whatever you can and leave it up to whatever it is. Like you can't control everything in high school and I think it's important to like Julie said, make friends and like make those genuine connections and kind of step out of your comfort zone because high school enables you to have like there's so many clubs on campus, there's so many activities you can do and I think just like branching out and like joining a new club that maybe you really think you'll like but then your friends are going in, like do something out of your comfort zone and something that you really think that you'll enjoy, I think that's more worth it than like stressing over a test or a grade in a class.
No, yeah, totally. Because, okay, I have this super dramatic chain of thought. So I have like this mindset where I think like 50 years into the future. So, for example, last year I got a B in bio for the end of the semester grade. And you have no idea, like, I broke down, all right? Like, that was the worst thing for me. I thought, like, I'm not getting into a good college. I'm not going to get a good job. I'm not going to get a good house. And then I just keep thinking and thinking like that. And, like, I don't that I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but like, is that really worth it? Like, am I like overreacting?
That definitely happened to me last year because I got a B in AP Lang, and it like kind of hurt me because I was so confident in myself. Like I always thought I was like a pretty good writer, and then that kind of like just like struck me, and I was like, oh, no. And then I kind of had the same thing. Like I kind of like a mini breakdown in my head, but then I realized like the skills that I've learned in this class has taught me so much more than like I could have ever asked for. So then the grade didn't really matter as much, and I think that like I don't know. I kind of just like reflected on that more than like thinking in the future, because when you think about the future, it gets really scary.
I see. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next question then. What are the best electives to help prepare for college?
I feel like this is kind of more what your interests are, if that makes sense. You know, I know I'm not the guest or the senior, but I feel like this is kind of what do you like? Like, what do you want to do?
Yeah, I think electives are a great opportunity just to find out more about yourself and what you like, because a lot of people don't know what they're going to do in high school. Even seniors, like you get asked on your college apps, like, oh, what career do you think you want to go to? I'm like, oh, I have no idea. But if you take all these different electives, like something that you don't even think you're going to be interested in, like let's say art can be so different from business, or business can be so different from, let's say, theater. So I know for my freshman year, I took 3D design, and that was a really nice class just to figure out like if I'm more of a creative, artsy person, or if I'm more like a mathematical statistics type person. And then I took theater, which I had no idea I would love so much, but I really like theater because that also helped me find out who I am. So definitely take electives that you wouldn't really consider at first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. I think my freshman year, I took leadership all 4 years. So my freshman year, I didn't take an elective. So I've only really taken 3D design my sophomore year, which I really loved. It was kind of like an outlet class after one of my harder classes. I would always go there, and like it would be so relaxing to like paint or draw or like sculpt something. And then I'm really interested in like sciencey stuff. So I took science electives, like extra classes basically. So I'm in bio right now, and I took anatomy last year as an elective, which I absolutely loved. Like I 10 out of 10 recommend anatomy and physiology or whatever it's called, and AP bio, because they're so much fun. And like it was like anatomy last year was the funnest class I think I've had, and it was just like such a good group of people, and the teacher's amazing. And so I definitely recommend like kind of like thinking to yourself like what are you interested in, and then like trying to find like a fun elective that like could relate or like completely out of the box that, like you never think you'd do. Like I'm awful at art. Well, not, I like yeah, I'm awful at art, but I like kind of wish I took an art class just to like try it. So that's like one thing that I wish I would have done in
Yeah,
high school.
I definitely like that because I feel like it's kind of hard to think about what you might do in the future. I know some people are like set, like, I know what I want to do, but most people are just like, I have no idea.
Definitely, yeah, that was me until like a month ago. So
Okay. What do you wish you knew going into high school?
I wish I was more aware of how I act around people. I think it's not something you should obsess over, obviously, because I don't think I'm a strong believer in like not caring about what other people think of you. And I've been practicing that all 4 years of high school. So I say going into high school, I wish I would have been more aware of if I was being fake to anyone, or like not being myself, or blending into a group and hiding who I really was. Because in the end, like you realize that high school is mainly just about finding yourself. Like, yeah, it's school and you're doing schoolwork and you're focusing on your grades, but it's also the biggest time for us to find out who we are. And I think acting fake kind of brings you back a step.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because, again, I feel like in high school, a lot of people feel like they have to fit into this mold and they have to hang out with certain people. And I feel like that's definitely some good thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I think also like holding yourself to like a high standard and like not letting people drag you down is also important. Like recognizing like a toxic person and like knowing like you deserve better than that and like kind of holding yourself on not like a pedestal, but like knowing your own worth and like that's kind of what high school's about, like finding your own worth and like becoming confident in who you are, not relying on anyone else for your own like confidence or happiness. I think is really important.
All right, guys, thank you so much for giving me this advice. Like, you have no idea. Like, I got so much from this, and I hope, like, our viewers do too, because I definitely did. This really helped me a lot.
Mhm.
And this has just been, like, overall amazing discussion. Thank you so much again for coming. This was so fun. So, yeah, Claire and Julie, thank you again for being part of this. Thank you to our listeners for listening and hanging on with us. And we hope you all enjoyed this as much as we did.
Before we send you off, don't forget to follow the family Instagram account for e-news and more podcast updates. And guess what? You can be a future guest and join us to discuss a topic of your choice by filling out the form linked to the family Instagram bio and check your school email for the same link. You can find us on Instagram and Spotify. Thank you so much for tuning into Longhorn Radio. See you next week.
This has been Longhorn Radio.
Elizabeth
And Shreya signing out.